girlfriend of 10 months was secretly married for the last 2 years. I'll have to split this into a couple comments to be able to post. I, 28 years old male, have been dating K, 28 years old female, for the last 10 months now. We met when we were 14, 15 in high school. We didn't talk much at all, as I had a girlfriend at the time and Kay ended up graduating a year early and going into the Army. She was a field medic and got discharged after an explosion hit her vehicle. So she came back and started going to nursing school. 3 years later, after she returned, we started talking randomly through Facebook. But through the years, she would casually flirt with me here and there. But it never amounted to more than that. She ended up having to move to the West Coast about a year ago because the nursing program there is more advanced and it's a 1-year program instead of the 3-year program they have here. The moment we started actually talking, everything was so perfect. Beyond perfect. I've never had a connection to anyone like this ever before. It was like we were a perfect match for each other. We only had a few small arguments until these last 2 weeks. She didn't like that a random called me babe on a comment one day, even though I had ignored it. Then 2 weeks ago, I had seen someone comment, "Lol babe," on her picture, and I was going to give her a little teasing comment about it. But then I went to his profile and seen where he had replied to a comment on one of his posts, talking about a girl, and he commented a screenshot of his phone, and Key was his background picture. I immediately asked her what that was about, and she said he was nobody, and she was just having a casual conversation with him. I reached out to him, and he was under the impression that she liked him. But the more I talked to him, the more I realized he was not right in the head. Something just wasn't clicking there, and I settled on him making more of it than it was, as he was fucking crazy. I seen the conversations, and it was just her being way too friendly. But no nudes, no calling him a pet name, nothing like that. Also, she's in the West Coast for school. I live in Kentucky, and this guy was a tattoo artist in Mississippi, where she is from. So we moved past that as I didn't see it as too big of a deal, especially since he was even further from her than I am currently. Update. I've only seen her once this whole time we've been together, by the way. With her having to squeeze in so much schoolwork in a small amount of time, she doesn't have many off days at all, and having 2 kids. Seeing each other wasn't the easiest thing. Well, now to the next part. After that last fight, things changed a lot. We literally talked 24/7 day and night up until this point. FaceTime, phone calls, texts, anything and everything. Some days we'd stop talking at 2. And I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and we'd be right back to talking. That all changed after the last fight over that guy though. She would go long periods without replying. And at night, she stopped replying around 9 a.m. and start back up around 11 and the next day, which is totally fine. But it was unusual for us. So my mind started thinking, and I started digging. I had found it strange that she had never gave me her address to send flowers for her birthday or any special occasions. I would just order them from the nearest florist, and she would pick them up from there. She even microwaved some of the bouquets to preserve them, and even framed and hung them up on her wall. Well, I looked her up by name and the city she lives in, and I found her address. I clicked on the address, and it shows me the name of the residents of that house, and one of them is her, and the other is a person named Brian. So I asked her about it, and her response was, "Lol, who told you that?" She then told me the truth, finally. She's been married for 2 years to him. He cheated on her in December, and me and her started talking around late December. Early January, I had messaged the guy from 2 weeks ago when she was being too friendly, and I had messaged Brian this time as well. When Kay answered me about him, I unsent my message to him, but he immediately replied and said I didn't have to unsend it because she had told him already I was going to message him. I asked him how she hid me from him for 10 months, and he said he never checks her phone, and then told me how he had cheated on her a while back. But I still don't get how she did it. She was very active on my Facebook as well as hers. Update 2. I found out about her marriage this past Monday, and Tuesday was when I told her I was going to send them. I asked for 5 minutes, but we spoke on the phone for 2 hours and even flirted a bit, joked around, laughed, and we even ended the phone call saying, "I love you." She explained everything to me, why she hid her marriage and why she did it. Brian is not a good person by any means. He's not nice to her or her kids. She practically goes through life every day as a single mom because he doesn't do much for her or them. He's kinda just there. I know she's telling the truth there, just by other conversations I've had with people around her. She's financially stuck to him until she's done with school, as she can't do full-time at school and also have a job. The program she's in is still a 3-year program, but they smush all of that information into 1 year. She has breaks for 2 days every couple months, and that's it. She doesn't want to be with him, but couldn't find the way to tell me as we hit it off so perfect. And then we got involved before she could tell me. So she begged me not to send those emails because she'll get kicked out of medical school, and she'll have to stay dependent on Brian. Her career choice will bring her close to $150K a year, and she says that after she gets started, she'll no longer have to be financially dependent on him. Also, that if I send those messages to her neighbors, then Brian don't want to live there anymore and will move or leave, and would end in the same result if her not being able to afford to live there and go to school at the same time. So all of this was said during our 2-hour conversation, but now that Brian knows, he's watching her phone calls through the bill, so she said we can't talk or he'll know. She was also scared that I was recording the phone call to show Brian, so she wasn't answering most of the questions I had. I told her I wouldn't send anything and that I would reach out in 2 weeks after things had calmed down. And she said, "I don't know if you're recording this and I probably shouldn't say it, but if you're going to call, make sure you call private." So my mind is all over the place. I don't know how to feel. She lied since day one. But if she had told me the truth about her situation on that first day, I would have told her I understood, and I would have to wait till she's done with school so we could figure us out from there. I wouldn't have been so pushy as to seeing her as much as I possibly could, which led to making things harder for the both of us. Like I said, I asked her for 5 minutes and she gave me 2 hours and kind of left the door open for us still. I kept asking if there was anything in the future for us, and she just kept saying she didn't feel comfortable answering, as she didn't know whether I was recording the call and was going to show Brian. I asked to fly out to see her in 3 weeks and just meet at a diner somewhere to talk. I just want to say to her face that I understand why she did what she did, but that I would have understood. I want to tell her that by the time she graduates, I will have everything figured out for our future. But she said that she thinks I'm going to pre-plan it all with Brian, and we would both show up instead of just me. I would never do that, but I get that my threats made her wary of it. So we ended the call with me saying I'd try to reach out in a couple weeks, and we said I love you, and hung up. It's only been 4 days since I found out the truth, and every day I feel a different feeling. I love her, endlessly. There's no doubt in my mind we were made for each other. I'm hoping I can get some answers in 2 weeks about what her plans are and what they were for me and her if I had not found out. Does she actually love me? Or was it all just because she's afraid I was going to send those emails and messages? The 2 weeks is to show that I didn't send anyone anything, and it'd give us both time to think. But is it effed up of me to base my decision on whether I send those messages and emails, on whether me and her are going to talk still or not? I see it as it's something I can get past if she's actively in my life, whether it be a friend or a girlfriend. That'd be my choice, and I know it wouldn't bother me in time. But if she doesn't respond to me in 2 weeks when I reach out, or she tells me we don't need to talk anymore, then I just see it as her not giving a damn about me or my life that she wasted for the last 10 months and the future that she ruined for me. I'm not wired to be a chump and just take it on the chin and walk away from it. If you did me wrong, I have to do you wrong back, so I'd be tempted to send those things. But if she makes steps to cleaning up this mess, then that's a different story. We were looking at rings and houses and planning for every moment in the future together. I firmly believe that she meant it all. She was just stuck in a bad scenario. I'm waiting the 2 weeks out to see how things play out, but I'm a fucking mess some days. I'll update the story as it goes on. Thank for those that read in writing. This actually helped sort out my feelings a bit. Update 3. All of our mutual friends from where we met knew about us. She commented on all my pictures, would tag me in things 24/7 as I would to her. She has close to 5,000 Facebook friends, a lot of them from the army, but not one person knew she was married to this guy. Well, anyways, my mind started spinning some more, and I became very angry that I felt like she had just wasted the last 10 months of my life and my near future. Everything I had planned for revolved around her. So I started thinking back to our first fight. She left her phone at home and went down the road to return some Tupperware to April. And when she got there, April wasn't home, but her husband Matt was. Kay said that she took her kids with her and that they were there hanging out when Matt asked her to stay for dinner, and she did, for 5 hours. That's a little suspicious, right? But she calmed me down and I let it go when she said that they spent most of the time talking about me. But now that I know she's married and all her neighbors known her husband and that she's married, there's zero chance she was having any conversation with Matt about me. So I searched out April and found her and wrote her a long message explaining the situation and what happened that day. I also have every bit of proof of her story and her awkwardly trying to cover her tracks. I never delete anything off my phone. I still have conversations from people from like 2016. So there's that. It may have been true that nothing happened that day, and they're just really good neighbors. But I wrote it anyways, but never sent it. Then there's the emails I wrote to her school and clinic she's at telling them, with proof, that Kay and the head nurse had done some questionable things that would get both of them their medical licenses revoked. I had the message to April and the email typed up and ready to send, but I couldn't. I took a screenshot of them and showed her what I was about to do. And she immediately responded when I said she owed me answers and 5 minutes of her time. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the intriguing world of human experiences. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.